And we're in. Right, so. Oh, no, wait. Hang on a minute. You don't seem to have any audio. Shit. Oh, no. It's because you went out and came back in again. Hang on a minute. I'm just going to have to talk to the viewer. Hi, Mum. While I'm just changing your sound settings, you'll be with us in a second. And just ad-libbing. This is exactly the kind of live television, audio, radio, whatever this is. Go on, say something. You're in now.
Am I in?
There you go. Yeah.
I was singing money, 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 money. But if we had lots of money, we could have someone produce this show.
Yeah, man.
Then it'd be better.
It's an absolute shit show. I can't believe anyone listens to this. It's ridiculous. What a waste of time. It's not what I mean, but it's how I feel. You were just telling me off air that you've had a bit of a shitty day, which I think goes nicely with the context of today's theme, which is the mega rich.
Yeah.
Not you, but like people with lots of money. So what's up? What's happened with you today?
Well, it was going all right. I've continued my clothing experiment.
Oh yeah.
Today, that was a good bit of a day. At lunchtime, because I'm working this 4-day week, I get like 45 minutes to go for lunch, and I'm not eating anything because I'm on Matt's stupid milkshake diet. So I looked at my co-worker, my friend Jez, and took a mental image of what he was wearing, and then I went and bought the exact same outfit and got changed in the toilet.
You knobhead.
And then just went back in. And it took him about 45 minutes. And he goes, "Oh, you look nice." And then I went and stood next to him. So that bit was good. But then
how did you find the exact same clothes? They must have all been from
like,
Primark.
Nearly exactly the same. He was wearing grey light suit trousers. So I went and got some grey suit trousers. And he was wearing a dark cardigan. So I got that. And he was wearing like a button-up polo navy shirt, so it wasn't that difficult to find. He dresses a lot smarter than I do for work. But then later in the day, I got called a smug prick, which might have been something to do with my outfit. And in fact, he didn't use the word prick; he used the opposite, the female appendage.
Yeah.
That begins with C, but I can't say that on here.
Yeah.
So
see you next Tuesday.
And then just started screaming at me and threatening to bite my face, which was a fairly average day, actually. I don't know. I think I might have been a bit tired, so I let it affect me. Why was your day so shit then?
I've always thought that you've got quite a chewable face, though. My day was just shite because, I'm not going to go. It's in reflection of the fact that we're going to talk about the mega rich and how they live life on a slightly different mode and plane to the rest of us. I got a surprise bill from some legal dealings that I had last year out of the blue, and they suddenly said, "Oh, you owe us X amount." And I'm like, "Oh, for God's sake, it never ends. The grind never ends. I work 25 hours a day, and I'm just swimming backwards up a stream, being plunged beneath the water. Yeah, or the poop. So yeah, there you go. No, it's just standard stuff, normal person stuff. Just the fact that life is a meaningless grind.
In 4 days' time, I'll come over and I'll bang on your front door and call you a smug. See you next Tuesday and threaten to bite your face.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Just to give you some context.
Yeah, I'll hand you a bill.
Okay, great. Yeah.
Well,
it's a date.
It is a date, and actually, I should just say to the listener that this exciting date that's happening this weekend will be happening under the blazing 22 to 25 degree heat of Zaragoza, because we're in the middle of a spring heat wave.
Lovely.
Yeah, they told me that there's this expression in Spanish that I can't quite remember, but they use the months as a verb. So if you roughly translate it, it's like if May is marching, then March will be Maying. That's a direct translation. It essentially means that if you get like the weather that you should have in March, then May is gonna be like the weather you should have had in March. I think I fucked that up. So we've got nice weather now, which means that we're gonna have shit weather later on. Basically.
Okay, well, as long as it's nice on Friday, I'm happy.
Yeah, that's all that you care about, isn't it? God, no, zero empathy. That's why people want to chew your face off. Anyway, let's talk about the more fortunate people in life that have been graced with financial invincibility that they can use to live in a different level of the matrix. Go on, dive right in.
Well, am I going first?
Yeah,
I will go with my man, Mansa Musa.
I bet you haven't said that right. Here he is. Ding.
Mansa Musa. Have you ever heard of this guy?
I have actually, yeah. I do know about him.
Right. Well, so he may well be the richest man to have ever lived. It's quite difficult to quantify it because he lived from 1280 to 1337, and he was the king of the Mali Empire, which was a bit of a sort of Central Africa. Um, so he to put it into context, sorry, Buster's just walked into the room and made me
Hello,
jump.
Buster.
So to give you an idea, the second richest man that they think existed was Augustus Caesar, who people will heard of because he was like that Roman fellow, wasn't he?
Yes.
And they estimate that his wealth was $4.6 trillion. That's 3.5 trillion pounds.
Wow.
But Mansa Musa, the king of the Mali Empire, they say his wealth is indescribable and unquantifiable. So he was born, like I say, in Africa into like a family of rulers. It was, and according to Syrian history,
He got lucky on Bitcoin.
yeah, no, he had one of them little bit miners
Yeah.
that you've got. But he was very sort of obsessed with exploring. Now his kingdom was already rich, but he headed out from a. Oh yeah, any idea what the capital of Mali was?
No.
Timbuktu.
Yeah, I did know that. But that's a thing that I knew but forgot. I just have to very quickly interject and tell you, because you mentioned Augustus Caesar, which of course is, Caesar. It's also where a very famous Spanish city gets its name. Do you know where that might be?
No.
Well, you're going to be there at the weekend.
Zaragoza.
Yeah, Zaragoza is a derivation of Cesar Augusta, Cesar Zaragoza. Over time,
Was he there?
He was. He's one of his. It reminded him of home. It was one of his favourite cities in Spain because it was a very good military position as well. But anyway, I'll detract no further from this moody-looking Moorish man on the screen.
But actually, whilst we're talking about other rich people like Augustus Caesar, I've got some other ones just to give you comparisons. William the Conqueror, they reckon he was worth 229 billion. More recently, that fellow Gaddafi from Libya, they reckon he was worth 200 billion. But yeah, Mansa Musa pisses on all of these.
Yeah.
He'd have just laughed in their face and called them paupers. In any case, so he was quite obsessed with exploring, and so he left Timbuktu and Mali and headed for the coast of Africa. And this was like a big old journey, especially back then. He apparently took 60,000 men with him, and they were all like covered in gold and the finest silks, which he'd already sort of accumulated, and his family had in their kingdom. Um, it's said that as a ruler, Mansa Musa had almost unlimited access to the most highly valued source of wealth in the medieval world. So, this is another example of Africa being an incredibly sort of rich source of resources,
Yeah.
namely gold at the time. Uh, and it should be the most fucking successful country in the world ever. Uh, but white people arrived and fucked everybody over.
I
So
blame, I blame the Romans because they destroyed Carthage, and Carthage was. I mean, they literally. That's where salt the earth. It's like the proto Blitzkrieg. Do you know
I
what?
don't know what that means. No, no. What's it?
Blitzkrieg's a type of warfare where they salt the earth. That the Blitz in
Yeah,
London when
yeah.
the
So they like
carpet
flatten it
bombing
and
they
nothing
just
can grow. Yeah,
destroy everything. But it was actually popularized by the British. People think that it's a German concept, but it's not. Before the British started doing it, the Romans did it, and they did it in Carthage because it was the garden of this where the Garden of Eden is supposed to have been, and Babylon is this African. It used to be like a really green and what's the word that I'm looking for? Help me.
lush,
Lush. That's exactly the word. Oh my! I love it when we mind meld.
sync up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they absolutely destroyed it. That's what a large parts of the desert come from. That. Hey, but chill out, bro.
He's heard something.
What
Sorry,
was it?
nothing. He's
Is
gone insane.
is it my?
He's on so many steroids at the minute. The dog. He's like an angry gym guy. It's driving me insane.
Anyway, sorry.
So,
Go on.
the other thing, he was a big devout Muslim, Mr. Musa. So at some point he did that pilgrimage. I forget what Haji is it called, um, and decided to like leave Timbuktu, head cross country through the Sahara and Egypt, and head towards Mecca. Um, and this is where he had like the 60,000 men with him. He also had 12,000 slaves. So you can imagine it's like
Flash.
72,000 people. Yeah. Just heading through the Saharan desert. And of course, at some point, he'd have hit Egypt and he'd heard about Egypt and how like they were like considered, the what do you call it, the center of civilization or the dawning of civilization with the
Mm.
Egyptian Empire a long time before, albeit. Um, but he really wanted to show off when he got to Egypt. And have you ever seen that clip of like, I think it was, what's her name? Oprah Winfrey, where she just goes out on her show and goes, "Hey, you've won a car, and you've won a car, and you've won a car," and just starts giving away
Yeah.
cars and ends
Yeah.
up giving everyone in the audience. It was a bit like that
Yeah.
because he had no concept of how much he had. He was just like throwing lumps of gold at people when he saw them, like just rocks of gold.
Like Mr.
Um,
Beast.
yeah, yeah, it's a bit like that,
Yeah.
definitely. And so he was known for sort of wasting a lot of gold during his pilgrimage, but it was sort of that massive, excessive, a lot like Mr. Beast, generosity that made him quite famous throughout the entire world. In a Catalan atlas map, that's Spanish, is it? Catalan Atlas map? Yeah,
Yeah.
going
Catalan.
way
Yeah.
back, 1375. They did like a drawing of him, uh, where he was sat on what they think was 100-foot golden throne, um, holding just a giant piece of gold in his hand. So he was bling before bling existed. I think is the point.
Yeah.
But also seems like a bit of what do you call it? A philanthropist,
Mm.
um, and gave a lot of his fortune away, which ultimately was like his downfall. For example, uh, a guy whose name I probably won't be able to pronounce, but he was Andalusian. That's like your neck of the woods as
Yeah,
well.
it's
Um,
south of Spain. Yeah. Well,
yeah, but I think he might have been like a Moor in the south of Spain. His name was Abu S. Hag S. Salili. Um,
oh yeah,
and
he was
and
in
he
Cordoba.
okay. He designed a mosque for Mansa, and wrote a little poem that was 5 lines, and Mansa paid him 200 kilograms of gold, which in today's money would be about
What?
8 million quid.
Yeah.
Uh,
Wow.
which obviously back then people who like did poetry and designed uh, mosques probably didn't get that much. So you can see he was a very generous man. Um, ultimately, though, his sort of demise came about with the arrival of the Europeans. Uh, and that really, they just started taking his money and taking all his gold and resources. And he sort of died out, not really known how, but the whole empire just sort of crumbled. And I think that's where some of the mythology around Timbuktu being like the African version of El Dorado comes from.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah, that makes
people have
sense.
always suspected that there's still mass, um, like,
Piles of
yeah,
gold.
yeah, buried somewhere, a bit like Gaddafi did with all his money, and people still go exploring trying to find it because ultimately there was no way that in his lifetime, which was what 57 years, there's no way he could have got
Hmm.
rid of all his wealth. So yeah, even today, people, adventurers, go out there looking for clues as to where he might have buried his stuff or like hidden stuff. Yeah,
I know a thing about him that I
tell
remember.
me,
There
tell me,
is
tell me.
he there's a story about how you were talking about the caravan when he went on his journey to Mecca,
Hmm.
and they passed through several African countries along the way, and he destabilized the economy in one of the countries because he handed out so much gold and other
Really?
wealth. They actually destroyed the local because it brought the value of the local currency down. Because so,
That's
if you
mad.
it's the kind of wealth that you're talking about, like it doesn't get better as a display of how wealthy that guy was. Then he can just pass through a country and destroy. If like every person that came up to him, we're talking about thousands of people in a country come up to him, and he's just making millionaires like by handing stuff out. He's just making people into millionaires by throwing, like you
Mm.
say, chunks of gold at their heads, and suddenly you have like a class problem because you've got all these poor people that are suddenly at the same level as the upper classes, and yeah, it destabilized them. But
I've heard about that. Like, I remember my dad, like, he used to travel a lot on business, and he went to India quite a bit, and he got told like, don't tip someone like 50 quid, even if you feels bad for them, because
hmm,
it will just like fuck up the system. Um, one of the rumors about what happened to him, which I quite like, and again, this is adventurers are still like quite interested in this and treasure hunters, was that he finally reached the west coast of Africa and decided to sail off. Apparently, they built like 2,000 ships, took thousands of men and slaves, and they sailed off, but never to return. Um, and some historians reckon he might have reached South America. But
that's the end of the Goonies. That's not.
yeah,
It's just
maybe. But no evidence that he did. Uh, but it's a nice idea. So a lot of people think they sort of sank on the way over, and that
too
there's
much
loads of
gold.
gold
Yeah.
somewhere in that sea. Yeah.
Where did his wealth come from though? I mean, what was it that he?
Well, it was gold basically. The
It's
whole
just
of
gold.
Africa was full of gold
Yeah.
and like diamonds as well, and uh, the area. So Mali was next to Nigeria, so fairly central, and it was actually a huge bit. I'm looking at a map now, and I can only recognise Nigeria as something that still exists. The rest of them have all got like old names, probably the original names. Have you ever noticed on a map of Africa, all the countries are basically straight lines?
Hmm.
If you look at a map of like any
Yeah.
other part of the world, they're all like wiggly lines. Do you know why that is?
Is it something to do with water?
No, it's
No.
because like when Europeans went to Africa, they couldn't be bothered uh, with like how it was all split up naturally
Just draw a line
by
down it.
indigenous people, and they just like squared it off, and that's why, yeah, that's why it's all straight lines.
Yeah.
But back in the day, obviously, it was all wiggly lines, like it should have been. Um, I forget where I was going with this,
Yeah.
but yeah, no, he just had so much resource. His family had ruled the Mali Empire since 800 AD up until and carried on. His son took over afterwards, but his dad had sort of squandered a lot of the family money just on this like wacky adventure and giving it all away. Um, so yeah, it was 800 AD to 1550 AD, and then uh, so a couple of hundred years after him. Uh, but yeah, by then it had all gone to shit. So they lost all these natural resources and given them all away. So the family went skint and the empire collapsed.
Yeah. I've got a kind of vaguely related chap off the back of Musa. I mean, he's not related in any way at all, except for his expression of wealth. It's a very quick honourable mention to this poor chap. Oh wait, I'm trying to find the image. Here he is. His name is, and I'm definitely going to mispronounce this. Data. I want to say Data Fuge. Data Fuji. Data Fuggy. He was an Indian businessman who was basically just famous for having a shirt that was made out of gold,
Wow.
which was worth $240,000. But he
It's got the
eventually,
Mr. T
yeah,
bling as
yeah,
well,
yeah.
hasn't
He's like the Indian Mr. T.
he?
Look at that
Nice.
guy's just rocking that look. I think that is a powerful look, and I think he owned it. And fair play to the guy. Unfortunately, he got beaten to death in the streets. I don't think it was because of his shirt. In fact, he was very well respected locally for his shirt. He kind of created his own living legend during his own lifetime. And people knew him as the gold man, but he was a money lender. That's how he made his wealth. And they
Oh,
think,
really?
yeah, one of his money lending transactions, they think somebody was a bit sour about something, and they sent a group of lads and they beat him to death. But I just find it, I don't know, curious, interesting, and just I don't know. I want to say I don't fully understand it that somebody could spend $240,000 on a shirt made of solid gold.
Mm.
It's not practical, that's for sure. And you've got to be pretty brave to wear that out in public. It only takes one guy to say, "Give us your shirt," and you're done for. Um,
I mean,
why do you think people do that?
expressions of wealth, is that what we're talking about?
Yeah, yeah,
Expressions of wealth. Yeah, I don't know, man. Like, yeah, Gary, who we had on a while back,
yeah.
if you remember. I mean, it wasn't the most interesting
No,
episodes,
I had
but
a great time.
G did pretty well for himself in business, and he had like fairly flashy cars. But I remember one of his business partners had a Ferrari, and Gary just used to rip the piss out of him for having a
Hmm.
Ferrari.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it's like, where can you drive it? How are you going to feel leaving that in Sainsbury's? And then it would always break down and stuff, and it was like, and Gary always had like nice cars, but more practical. Like you could put a bike in the back or whatever. So yeah, these big expressions of wealth. I'm I guess there's that if you've got it, flaunt it, isn't there? But
Yeah.
um, I don't know. I think
I think it's a disease. I think like because I want to stay on this theme for a little bit because I think that a lot of people that come into wealth that have not been born into it, they tend to be a bit more flamboyant and a bit more expressive with the money they have. A modern example would be Andrew Tate, for example. He's built his whole empire around expressing how mighty his wealth is with his I mean, when it comes to cars, like buying supercars, I can understand that because that's just like a passion. It's something that you genuinely you're interested in the car, in the how it's manufactured, the mechanics and everything. And
I don't think most of them are, man. I think they just like buy a car to look flash and let
I
people know they've got a lot of money.
Yeah, but okay, right. I think you've got to be very careful here because you know that you've got a man shed that is full of thousands of pounds worth of wrestling memorabilia. So what's the difference between your wrestling
Well,
collection?
I don't show that off to people.
Oh, yeah, because nobody would give a shit.
Yeah, exactly.
You'd love to though, wouldn't you? You'd love to wear your belts out in the street.
Maybe. But yeah, but maybe I've got like five or something, 5 grand's worth. But like you're talking about cars that are 250 grand, you know,
Well, it's
like
just a different scale, isn't it? I mean, but it's the same.
yeah,
I think it's relatively similar. Well, maybe not. But when you get to a certain point of wealth, you get past a certain point, and you don't have to worry about things like that anymore. Like spending becomes something that's just it's an invisible part of your life. If you want something, you obtain it, you acquire it,
yeah.
and why not? There's no limitation.
I think when you were sort of suggesting there's new money people, isn't there? And I think there certainly is new money and old money, and perhaps old money people are just brought up in that environment where they don't necessarily have to be flash. They just are. I think a great example. I don't know if you remember him. Do you remember Michael Carroll? Does that ring
Hey,
a
here we
bell?
go. He's coming up on the screen now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. The
So I was
lotto lout.
yeah, or the Chav millionaire.
Yeah.
Um, uh, like he, how much did he? I think he won about right. Absolutely no reason he should be skint now.
My mic's off. He won 9.6 million. There we go. I'll say that again.
Yeah,
Yeah, but that was in 2002. So I know it's well. That's 20 years ago. 22 years ago. 9.6 is probably quite a lot in today's terms.
I mean it's a lot then. I mean it's a
Yeah,
lot.
yeah, yeah.
I mean let me just work out. Right, so yeah, right. I'm gonna do some boring
He
maths.
gave half of it away though. He gave like 4.2 to family and friends. He's a perfect example of how. So you mentioned old money versus new money. The thing about old money is old money knows how to protect its money. So when you're born into it, it's a legacy thing, isn't it? They educate you properly. They teach you how to behave in society, how to behave throughout your life. A lot of them go mad, and they usually end up marrying their brothers and sisters. But they do have a kind of understanding of how to protect their wealth generationally. Whereas if you grow up in the gutter and you suddenly become a millionaire overnight, like I don't know how to manage £1 million. I have absolutely
Right.
no idea how to do that. I wouldn't. I just it's not in my wheelhouse of knowledge. And I think someone like Michael Carroll is a perfect example of that. The first thing that he did was give a lot of it away, which is you can't criticize him for that. His generosity
Well,
came to mind.
how much did he give away?
For half of it, 4.2
All
million.
right, so let me say 4.2 mil. 4 point. I'm just doing the maths, right? So you stick it in a normal bank account, like a savings account, a 5% savings account. Do you know how much that makes you every year?
At least, I don't know.
Two hundred and ten
I was
thousand,
going to say 200,000. Yeah,
which is
yeah,
enough to live on. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah. Easily.
Like that's what you should have done.
But
Idiot.
well, you know what he did? He went on massive cocaine binges, and he got married. Almost immediately got divorced because he was banging a load of prostitutes and doing loads of alcohol, drink, just exploring a lifestyle that was unavailable to him beforehand, but he didn't know how to control it because he'd never experienced it before. You don't forget that he was 19 when he won the lot. Yeah. He's just a kid, like, so just utterly unprepared for that kind of dramatic change in his life. Another thing that he did was he bought a mansion in the beautiful tropical climate of Norfolk.
I like Norfolk.
I used to go on holiday every year to Norfolk, so I'm taking the piss, but yeah, I like Norfolk. He got this nice mansion in Norfolk, which you can see there. It's ended up being a ruin. Yeah, and he just made a mess of it. But good news is he was a bin man. That was part of the story that made it, I don't know, slightly more poetic, romantic, if you will. He went from taking out other people's rubbish to being a multi-millionaire. And then he lost it all. He spent it all, and he went back to his old job. It was still waiting there for him when he got back. So he ended up being a bin man again, and he got married again to the same woman. They got back together, and they did it. Yeah, it's actually quite a nice story because they did genuinely care for each other. And once the money was gone, they had a normal relationship. I think he's doing quite well for himself now. It seems. The last update that I read about was from like 2019, but. He's working and just getting on like a normal guy. It's almost as if there was just a chapter of his life that belonged to somebody else, you know? Now he's exactly where he was or would have been beforehand.
Yeah. I wonder if the lottery have sort of put some controls or some more help for people that win the lotto now. Because it must be mental for anyone. Like I play the lotto.
Yeah.
At work, we've got a little syndicate, and we often talk about, would you come in on Monday if we won the lotto on Saturday? And we all sort of go, oh, yeah, because we work in health and social care. We got to put our clients first. Yeah, of course we'll come in, and then turn to each other and go, what the fuck?
Absolutely no way, man.
Like if you go from like having no money or like just average money to having all that money, then that's got to be
It's a head fuck. I mean, I'm going to sneak another guy in very quickly before you get into yours. Somebody that I'm sure everybody in the world is aware of. There he is about to eat a pigeon for some reason. I thought that was the most kind of representative image of him. It represents the complexity of his life. But I think a lot of people don't know where Iron Mike Tyson came from and what that meant for the way that he ended up in terms of his. I think that everybody likes watching a story like Mike's story because they enjoy the rise up, and then they enjoy the drop down.
Oh yeah, people love to watch someone fail, don't they?
He came from nothing. Like he was literally this guy coming from the streets, and he literally fought his way to the top of the boxing world. And people forget how young he was when he did that. He was one of the youngest heavyweight boxers.
The youngest.
He was. Yeah, no, he was
world champion anyway.
Yeah. And he didn't have access to his money for quite some time. But when he did, he just did what most people that had been raised on the streets would do. He went out and he just kind of went a bit nuts, absolutely mental. I've got a list of some of his lavish spending here. He spent $4.5 million on cars and motorbikes, which included 19 vehicles that he bought for his friends. He spent $100,000 per month on jewelry and clothes. What do you think that he spent $400,000 on?
Tigers.
Almost pigeons.
Oh, he loves his pigeons.
He loves pigeons. He's mad about pigeons. I think that's quite sweet. 125,000 on animal trainers to look after his big cats, as he said. 240,000 a month for walking around money that he spent in daily life flexing. I don't know what that means. I have no idea what that means.
It's like tipping doorman. And
Yeah,
stuff,
I guess. Yeah. 300,000 on lawn care, and yeah, that's because lawn. Well, he lived in a how big was he? Because he had a lot of ground, so what was it? I can't see the acreage, but yeah, he had he had a lot of space.
It wasn't small, was it? But I mean, then he went bust, didn't he? He ended up going completely broke.
Yeah, I mean, dude, he bought a golden bathtub for $2 million. Of course, he went broke. He filed for bankruptcy in 2007, and he was literally just homeless. He was broke and homeless. He's fighting again.
Yeah, I've been reading about it.
I can't wait. I finally see somebody knock Jake Paul's head clean off his shoulders.
I don't know if you've read what I've read, but I've heard that it might be amateur rules. So using 18-ounce gloves and headgear, which, well, there won't be any knockouts. But I don't know. I was thinking about this. Sorry, we're going off subject slightly, but it is kind of relevant news, isn't it? Like Mike Tyson has done some things in wrestling fairly recently, where he was given a script because shock horror.
Are you going to start talking about kayfabe?
Yeah, well, I'm breaking kayfabe. He was given a script, told what to do, and just ignored it,
of course,
completely, and ended up like punching out a guy called Chris Jericho, who was legit like badly hurt by getting punched by Mike Tyson. And I think all those Jake Paul fights have been a little bit dubious.
About, for sure.
Like some of people just seem to fall over and stuff. And there might be a deal in place because Mike, I think he's doing all right for himself now, from what I understand.
No, he's in great shape.
Farm and stuff.
Yeah.
But, no, I meant monetary wise, he's doing quite well. But he'd happily take a big payday, and this could be like 100 million, maybe easy. I'd have thought it's bigger than McGregor versus Mayweather. I'd have thought, and it's going to be shown on Netflix in their first foray into live streaming sport. But if there is a script, there's no way Tyson's going to fucking stick to it.
No, man.
As soon as he puts gloves on, he goes mental.
This is Mickey the Pikey from Snatch. He just one punch, and he accidentally. It's like, go down in the second. Yeah. I'll go down in the second. Bang, the guy's dead. I mean, he's one of the most dangerous. Or he was. I think he still is one of the most dangerous men in the boxing world for sure. And I've been following his career quite closely, especially in recent years, because it's just. I think it's quite nice to see him back. It's a rags to riches to rags to riches story, which doesn't happen very often. And he genuinely seems like such a nice bloke. There's a story. I can't remember. It's one of his training partners. This Irish guy is quite famous in the boxing world, and his mum sent Mike Tyson a box on his birthday with a couple of old like secondhand jumpers. And she threw some stuff in a box, and he years later, like 25 years later, he was going to Ireland. He was like, well, can we go say hello to your mum? And he was like, oh yeah, sure, if you want. He was like, I never got to say thank you to her for that present that she bought me. And the guy was like, I had no idea what you're talking about. It's like, when I was 18, she bought me those presents, and I'd never received a birthday present before. It was the first time I'd ever received a gift. And this other guy just kind of broke down crying, and Mike was like, you're always fucking crying, you bitch. What's right? It's such a nice story though. But I think it seems like such a genuine character. I think despite the fact that he's trained to murder people, he's a good soul, and I hope he does assassinate Jake. But no, I don't mean that. I hope that he wins. I'm sure that he
Yeah.
will. He's got the skill. He's been doing testosterone replacement therapy and all of that stuff. Uh,
Yeah, because I mean, if there's ever someone who hasn't got enough
yeah.
testosterone, it's Mike Tyson.
Like his cereal must crawl out of the bowl in the morning. Like look at his face. Look at him. Terrifying. Uh,
Yeah.
I'm sure there was another thing that I was going to mention in relation to that, but no, the whole rags to riches aspect of being mega rich. I think in nowadays, in modern times is what I wanted to say originally. I think the equivalent of that is YouTubers and like the kids that get into like streaming and it's like a weird new way for young people to access wealth that has never been accessible to them before. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment because you're going to go into your next richo person, uh,
Hmm.
who is this dude.
Yeah, there's a young Mark Zuckerberg. Uh,
Who are these other two dorks?
well, we'll get into that. But obviously, Mark Zuckerberg, best known for being the CEO and founder of what is now Meta, but used to be Facebook.
Hmm.
So, um, a little bit of history on Mark Zuckerberg. He was never exactly poor. Uh,
Hmm.
Zuckerberg. He was born in 1984, which makes him 4 years younger than me, which makes me a bit sick. Uh, in White Plains, New York, his mum was a successful psychiatrist. They earned quite a bit, and his dad was a dentist. Also,
Yeah.
they earned quite a bit. He had three sisters from a Jewish household. His grandparents lived with him, uh, and he went to a school. The name of the school I've lost, but it doesn't matter. What's important to know is he was captain of the fencing team at this school, so that sort of shows you what kind of school he was at.
Well, he
Uh,
was Ivy League, right? He went to, was it Harvard or Yale? Or he went to
well, eventually, yeah, after high school, he
yeah.
ended up at Harvard. Where I don't have you seen the Social Network, the
Do you
movie?
know? I've not actually seen the film. No.
It's not bad. It's not bad. It's kind of slightly inaccurate and
Hmm.
a bit Hollywood, but yeah. So eventually, he ended up at Harvard. He was already like pretty decent uh, on the old computer, um, but he went to study computer science and psychology, both of which ended up being quite useful, I think. Um, Anyway, he was messing around with a website, and he created this thing called Face Smash,
Yeah.
which was basically for students of Harvard to. It was basically, yeah, I'd shag her, I wouldn't shag her. I'd shag her, I wouldn't shag
Yeah.
her.
Yeah.
I'd shag
Yeah.
him, I
It's
wouldn't shag him.
to rate your
Face.
yeah. But yeah.
Yeah. Um, And anyway, he set this up, and overnight it went viral before going viral was ever even a thing. Um, and it was on the Harvard server. Basically, he was allowed some server space, as all the computer science guys were allowed, and it crashed the Harvard server, so it got shut down like a couple of days later. The other two chaps there are Dustin Moskovich and Eduardo Saverin, who, uh, alongside Zuckerberg, um, took what was FaceMash and developed it into what we knew well or know as Facebook. Um, it launched not long after. He put it together like super quick. He was a real prodigy when it came to programming,
Hmm.
way ahead of his time. He launched it, and it was called the Facebook. That comes from at Harvard. There's in the library, like everyone who goes to Harvard, um, they have these things called Facebooks where it would have a picture of you, your face and a little bio of who you were and where you'd been and what you were doing, and anyone could access those. Um, uh, but as it sort of gained popularity, that it spread out across other universities, and yeah, basically he got a couple of guys who were called the Winklevoss or Winklevoss twins. You can imagine they had a few quid
Yeah.
um, to like sort of invest in it. Now they claimed that the whole Facebook thing was their idea, and so just 2 years later, so the Facebook launched across universities in 2004. By 2006, these Winklevoss twins were suing him, and they got 65 million quid. So in 2 years, this had gone from like fanning about in your bedroom, like
Hmm.
who would you prefer to have sex with website, to a website where you can afford to lose
Yeah.
65 million quid
Yeah.
in a lawsuit. Um, in 2007, it went worldwide, and it's just gone on from there. Uh, in today's money, he is worth $109 billion, which makes him the 10th richest person in the world, apparently. Um, it's just a monumental rise to richness. I think I don't think there's ever been anything that's taken off so quickly and become just so valuable in history. I don't think
Hmm.
not this quickly.
Yeah, it's funny. It's just it was the time for that to happen. I think because it was at the apex. We were at the transition into the digital era. You know, at the end of the '90s, and
Yeah, the .com boom.
yeah, everything
But
just becoming interconnected and becoming more kind of global vision. And I don't know. He just had a product that kind of fit very nicely into a space that was waiting for that kind of product. He was lucky in that sense. But I will say, in comparison to other billionaires like Bill Gates, he does actually genuinely have some backing. You know, he's got some skill. At least he is a programmer. Bill Gates just bought other people's companies and ideas, and he's also somebody who comes from a millionaire background. Like his family are very rich. The same as Elon Musk. A lot of people use Elon Musk as a kind of rags to like, but his father owns a diamond mine in South Africa. Do you know what I mean? It's like the story of a man who went from being rich to being richer.
super rich.
It's like
Yeah.
that's not an interesting story to me. I mean, they've all done stuff, but at the end of the day, I'm much more fond of the kind of Mike Tyson story. I think that's a very English thing, though, isn't it? We like an underdog. I've
I
no,
do quite like Zuckerberg in the way he sort of acts and behaves and carries himself. Yeah, like I don't think he's driving around in Lamborghinis. He always looks a bit like one of my clients, like a bit homeless.
oh my god,
Um,
did you see him in court? Guys,
no,
I don't think he's real anymore. I think that they got rid of him and replaced him with a really cheap android because
he's very awkward, isn't he?
well, he was the whitest man I've ever seen in court when they were asking him questions about the nefarious small print in Facebook's contracts and what the intentions are behind like data farming and all of that stuff. And he was just like a melting candle. Like he started sweating and he's just so white and pasty. And he's like, it's just what? That's not a human being. That's just somebody's poured some jelly into like a man-shaped mold. It's,
Him and his wife pledged to transfer 99% of their Facebook shares into the Chan Zuckerberg Initiative, which is like
for
a
trans people.
no, like it's like a philanthropy thing
Yeah.
that helps people and like 90. This was back in 2015, and actually it's gone crazy since then. But 99% of their shares would have been worth 45 billion. I think it's closer to 100
Yes,
billion now.
I just I don't buy that shit, man. I think that's just it's for tax cuts. It's for I mean, maybe it's genuine. I don't think so though. Like who's out? I'm a multi billionaire. Out of the goodness of my heart, I'm going to give away half of my fortune. No, you're not. I mean, not unless you're so rich that it doesn't actually impact you. But
Well, I
still,
mean, they have given away things like 25 million to. They gave it to the Bill Gates Foundation actually when Gates was doing all the stuff around COVID-19. He just dropped him 25 million to help out with that
mm,
research,
mm.
and 600 million to a tax exempt charity, which is helping people in San Francisco. San Francisco's a big old mess. So he is dropping like huge amounts of money. Um,
Yeah, but
I, what?
the fact that we know about it to me demonstrates that it's not really like
Mm,
if you want to help somebody out, you just help somebody out. You should that's not shouldn't be a matter of public
I know
knowledge.
there's probably something about when you're doing 600 million though, you probably have to write it down somewhere. I don't think you can just stick that in someone's letterbox. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It won't fit. Um, I think he is an interesting guy. He's very awkward. A lot of people think he's autistic or on some sort of spectrum. He's doing a thing at the minute where he's training in BJJ and MMA.
Yeah.
He wants to have a
Fight
fight.
Jake Paul.
No, apparently,
Mike Tyson.
no, the Tesla dude who you just
Elon
mentioned.
Musk.
Yeah, yeah. There's talk of them two having like a mega
Yeah.
fight,
That would be
and do it,
amazing.
zooming it or broadcasting it on Twitter and Facebook, which would be interesting. Um, he's never one like he's not flashy. He's you never hear him about have it hear about him having an affair or anything. He's got a wife called Priscilla Chan, who I'm sure is lovely. Um,
Sounds like a female wrestler.
if I was a billionaire, I'd go out with someone better looking. Is what I'm saying. But
Well, okay, that's so you're looking for signs that he's an ordinary guy and not an android, like I said.
yeah, yeah.
I would say I do know that he's into barbecuing, and I respect that.
Okay, well that's good. But what? He's got a gold-plated
No, he
barbecue
did a
somewhere.
whole no.
I,
He's really into like smoking meats.
yeah, but the
He did some
meats he's
videos about
smoking are like lions and
yeah yeah and
ligers and shit.
human
Don't
yeah.
know. Um, uh, interestingly, I watched a film at the weekend on Netflix called "Leave the Earth Behind." Have you seen that?
No.
Have you heard about it? It's got uh, Pretty Woman lady in it. What's it? Julia Roberts.
Oh yeah. Can I?
It's a good film.
Whoa, sorry. I'm sorry to. I have to say this fact that I know about Julie Roberts that I learned in a
Go on.
video yesterday. Um. No, wait. Oh my God, have I forgotten it? No. Yeah, it's Martin Luther King
Yeah.
paid for her parents. Well, for for her parents. Basically, Martin Luther King paid for her to be born. Julia Roberts, that is.
How? What?
Because they grew up in a neighborhood where they grew. It was one of the neighborhoods that had these communal theaters, and Martin Luther King and Julie Roberts' parents, I can't remember the name of, they all went to the same theater. They knew each other. They were like childhood friends. And her parents, Julie Roberts' parents, when she was growing up, got into a bit of financial difficulty, and they couldn't afford. It cost money to like maternity
Oh,
cost
give
money.
birth. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah. Of course.
and
America. Yeah.
and they
Oh, you
they
pay for hospitals.
yeah, but without telling them. Like they went to the hospital, and it came up like, oh my God, how are we going to cover this bill? And he went to go and speak to someone about it, and they're like, no, somebody's already paid it for you. And then they found
That's
out
mad.
later on that it was Martin Luther King. Anyway, please continue.
Anyway, the movie is a kind of end of the world movie, but a very realistic one. It's not like a meteor. It's the kind of thing you like about cyber attacks and communications going out and um, not paraphernalia. What is it where you throw leaflets from the sky? Uh, propaganda,
Okay.
propaganda, and then
Yeah.
eventual civil war. But
Yeah.
the whole story is told over a period of 3 days, so everything's just hinted at. But one of the things that happens at the start of this film is you find out the mega rich are selling off their stock, um, and and I don't know if it's because I watched that film, but today, I've got a
Hmm.
small stock portfolio. I
Uh-oh.
found out that Zuckerberg, uh, Bezos, the Tesla man, and
Elon
like all
Musk.
these like mega rich people, people that make them three look like paupers,
Yeah.
are all selling off loads and loads of stock at the
Oh
minute,
man, do you know
which we might be about to have a massive crash.
dude, there's in the last 12 months there've been so many indicators by the mega rich that something is about to happen. Like
Yeah,
Bill Gates has bought all of the highest farming land in the US. Like it almost, if there was somebody who put a map, when you can what's the word I'm looking for, when you can put an image over top of another image,
superimpose.
superimpose the image of the floodplains in the US in case of a like a mega tsunami or some kind of natural disaster that would make the water levels rise, and the only land that was available was all owned by Bill Gates. And some people say like he knows something, and then other people say no, it's just an intelligent investment. I mean, that's something that you would do, but yeah, he owns all of the farming land. So not just like land where you can go live, but the places where you can rear cattle and grow food, which is exactly what you need after a natural disaster or whatever. But yeah, they all also started buying bunkers, like the most number of bunkers, like not just bunkers like a hole in the ground that you and I could make, like
Yeah.
these mega mansion bunkers. The highest number of those have been sold in the last 12 months than in all of history. So
Ugh,
yeah,
right.
but whatever. It'll be a blessed release. I look forward to it, whatever it is.
As long as it's not before Friday.
Yeah, bring it on, man.
Mm.
Well, I've finally brings me to what I was mentioning earlier about new money and young people coming into mega rich lifestyles. I just throw this in at the end and we can reflect upon that. This little guy, this is one of the older photos of him. Do you know who that is? Can you see it yet?
I'm just lagging. When you say little guy,
He
give me another clue.
he
Oh, do
uh,
I know who that boy is?
I think I don't know. Maybe your little girl might be. Well,
Is
maybe
it
she's
Ryan?
no, but same kind of genre, same theme.
It's
Is
like Ryan's World.
yeah, it's the same.
Is he a YouTuber?
Yeah, same idea. It's exactly the same idea. This is Evan Tube, who is one of the richest children in the world. I think. What is his estimated value? I've got it written down here somewhere. I lost it. Oh, there's Paris Hilton. Go past her. There's Mike Tyson. Oh no. Oh, this is just a. You're just listening to me scroll aimlessly up and down a document where I don't have the information I need. He's worth a lot of money, basically.
17.3 million.
Excellent. Thanks for looking that up while I was babbling. And yeah, he started off as a YouTuber at the age of, I think he was 6 when he first started, or maybe he was 8. I can't remember. It's the same difference. He's 18 now, though. He was born in 2006. But he started off like reviewing toys. And I kind of got a problem with this, to be honest. I think that like
Surprise!
I think it's unfair because like so many kids, like the kids that I teach and like my nephew and my niece, and like they're all kind of addicted to watching like these unboxing videos, and I think it's unfair for them because they watch this aspirational lifestyle from a very young age. So we never really saw that kind of stuff when we were growing up because I'm sure it existed somewhere in the world, but I didn't have to see it. And I don't know. I think it gives them like a maladjusted expectation of how life should be. And like his videos
you
is
say it's unfair on them. think of the parents. Like, think
There's
of me.
yeah.
As Lil's watching this shit, going, "Oh, I need that toy."
I know, man. But then when they don't get that thing, like everybody loses out because, like, it can be embarrassing or hurtful for the parent that has to say no because you don't want to say no. But also sometimes you have to say no for financial reasons or just because you shouldn't say yes to your child all of the time. But also they get to think like, why has this kid got all of this stuff? And I've just got this stinking iPad that's worth £2,000, and he's got like the brand new one that's covered in gold. It's not fair. My life should be better. I'm 7 years old, God damn it. Why is my life so terrible? And I just don't think 7-year-olds should be feeling that or thinking that. It was certainly not based on these kind of shallow aesthetics. And I don't know. I disagree with it. I think that it should be more closely monitored. That kid, he's just a really, really lucky boy. I don't know what he's like. I'm sure he's a lovely kid. He's 18 now. But
can I tell you some of his stats?
Yeah, go on.
7 million subscribers as of 2020.
That's just we're almost there. How many? What's the difference between?
This is what is upsetting me. So 4.9 billion views. The videos in his channel get cumulatively get an average of 80,000 views a day.
That's probably because he can speak properly, though. That's
yeah, maybe. But 80,000 views a day earns him $640 a day.
Wow.
Which is 230,000 a year. So we've got a fair way to go, Ben, before we make any money from our shit unprofessional, barely literate.
He's got ground on us, man. He started when he was 8. So, and also he does stuff that apparently people like to see. I would like to just add a little bit about the nefarious nature of how they make that money, because there's a very interesting article here about the how the advertising works on his channel. So because his dad works or worked, I suppose he doesn't do it now. He was a photographer and a filmmaker, so he knew a little bit. He was a bit savvy about the kind of business side of things. But they started running these adverts before the video, so the kids would watch the video then to get to the unboxing video, and then there would be ads like hidden inside that you couldn't recognize that they were watching an ad. So the kids are basically being advertised to like 4 or 5 times in one video, and the parents was receiving like multiple revenue streams from one video. They get whatever the company who'd given them the toy that they were unboxing, they'd be paying for that. They'd get paid for the ad at the beginning, and then they get paid for these other ads that are like dotted throughout. And it's just like guerrilla warfare tactic of blitzkrieg. It's blitzkrieg for advertising.
Yeah, it's mad. I mean, we have rules over here now for TV around what can be advertised for kids. Yeah, when we were little and you watched Saturday morning TV, it was just all toy adverts. They can't do that now.
Yeah,
which is good, but it doesn't apply to YouTube whatsoever. So you can advertise whatever frig you want, which is a bit mad.
It is, and it's like I say, these style of ads are almost imperceptible sometimes, because they'll literally start advertising like he would advertise a product inside one of his videos, but almost like seamlessly, like he'll be doing an unboxing and then he'll start talking about the product. So you don't even know that you're watching this ad, you're being advertised to, and then suddenly you come away thinking, man, I really, really want to buy a Funko Pop with Taylor Swift's head, or whatever it was that he was advertising. Bloody Taylor Swift.
Again.
She's everywhere, man. You can't escape it. But yeah, basically, the mega rich are... Oh, sorry. Last minute, I just want to mention toilets.
Okay.
because something that happens to people when they get too much money is that they like to take luxury shits. I don't know why that is, but I'm just going to go through. I forgot to put the pictures on, but there's a $2,000 toilet, the Black and Gold Millionaire's toilet is called, and it is absolutely beautiful. I have to say, like I would love to take a shit on that. That is, it's too.
How much is it? $2,000.
It's $2,000. It's not. I think that's achievable.
We bought a toilet a while ago, and it was. I remember. It was
here we go.
£200, and I thought that was a lot.
I'm gonna let me. I've just dropped it on the screen there. Look, imagine sitting on that.
Wow,
it's beautiful. It's a work of art. Yeah, $2,000 on that, and then the next one is just slightly above that, and it's just well designed but really really boring. But I think it sprays like perfume up your arsehole or something like that. It's one of those Japanese things. The next ones, there's just a lot of Japanese designs here that like fiddle with you while you're trying to do your business. This one here, which I'm gonna again, I'm just dropping these on the fly because I forgot to do it earlier. Look at this beautiful piece of work. This cost. Well, tell me how much you think that costs. It's got
$5,000.
That is 14,000 K, and that it's got a built-in musical chime. It's got more for the kind of medieval look, as you can see.
Yeah, I thought it was an old one.
It's made out of solid ash.
Well,
it is. It's from
your solid ass.
That's from the 8th century. It is an old toilet, and then finally, I'll just skip past to the most expensive toilet in the world, which is being modelled by a serial killer, apparently. I don't know what's wrong with this guy. He's sweating so much because he's next to a really expensive toilet. Or maybe he just needs to take a shit and there's someone there taking a photo of him. He's like, bye, please go now. There he is. That's a solid gold toilet. Which would you care to have a little guess how much that's worth?
$50,000.
That is $4.8 million US.
So it's solid.
It's a solid gold toilet. That's it was commissioned by that dude who is a gold shop owner. His name's Winger Lamb. Yeah. So there you go. That was it was made. Sorry, it was made by him for Vladimir Lenin. It's Lenin's toilet.
That's
what a load of shit. Yeah,
just stupid. More money than sense, my mum would say.
Exactly. Well, I don't think we've resolved anything, and as always, we leave a void, a knowledge void in the door that we opened into.
Would you like to be mega rich?
No. I wouldn't like to be mega rich. I'd like to be comfortable. I'd like to not have to ever worry about money again, in the sense that and there is a point there. I can't remember how much it is that you need per year, but just to get by. I'm not interested in like lavish lifestyle. I just like to be able to buy food and not die on the street being gnawed at by junkies.
Yeah. No, I think being content and being able to provide, for your family, and you don't get cold or hungry, and every now and again you can go on holiday and buy wrestling toys.
Yeah, like
that's fairly good. But yeah, it would be nice not to worry about bills. Yeah.
It reminds me. I'll finish on this. I've been doing a series on clipped quotes, which are quotes that people sometimes forget the other part of, and they end up using the quote. It becomes popular in the wrong way, but people will talk about money is the root of all evil, but that's actually a misquote from the Bible, which is the love of money is the root of all evil, because we do need money, but it's when you get obsessed and greedy that it becomes a problem.
Good note to leave it on.
Yeah. And there we go. All right, I'll let you go and eat your block of protein for dinner.
Okay. All right. Good
Enjoy.
show.
All right. So, okay,
Love you,
nice.
bye.
Bye.
Medically